One of the things I noticed back in the late 80s, coming into the early 90s, was that when countries are densely populated before they industrialize, they go through some very quick stages. One is initially agricultural production goes up, but then because they're densely populated and because modernization means more roads and highways and housing expansion and so forth, then the cultivated area begins to shrink and production turns down. At the same time, the rising affluence drives demand up at an accelerating rate. So you have a country that's basically in balance, and then suddenly production starts to go down and consumption begins to rise very fast. So imports go up very fast. And you can take that model, you can apply it to Taiwan, to South Korea, countries that were densely populated before they industrialized. I used this model and applied it to China to anticipate the day in the not too distant future when China would become heavily dependent on imports. And that would happen, once it started, it would happen very fast. For the Chinese, this was a no-no. Because of the Great Famine in 1959-61, no political leader in Beijing could admit that one day China would be importing a large share of its food supply. When I did the book, Who Will Feed China, published in 1995, the response was extraordinary. I've never been exposed to a full-court press by a national government before. But I could give a talk in Oslo, in Zurich, in Tokyo. If it was a public talk, there would be, and it was on food, there would be someone from China in the audience who would jump up and challenge what I had to say about China. It was just amazing. The bottom line was that the Chinese began to realize that I was right and that they were moving toward this period, and they've now reached this period. I mean, just to give 4 numbers, in 1995, China produced 14 million tons of soybeans and consumed 14 million tons of soybeans. In 2010, they produced 14 million tons of soybeans and consumed 70 million tons of soybeans. So that increase of 56 million tons means they're now importing 80% of their soybeans. That original article, Who Will Feed China, and the book that came from it probably spawned more symposia and conferences and seminars than anything I've ever written.